I believe that God has purposes for each one of us. And if we will continue to seek God and ask God and listen, then that purpose that God has for us unfolds as we journey along through life. And then I believe that we can also have our lives have meaning, and that we can make purpose intentionally if we're willing, again, to try to tune into what God wants us to do. Back when I was in high school, I was in an art club, and we painted a mural in a daycare center. That was the request that they asked the high school art club to participate in. Well, when I was talking to the coordinator in Bolivia at the House of Hope, because they're thinking about some art projects for the children that would be a project that could be like a team approach, where they would do something that might help ease some of the tension of their life and the trauma that they're experiencing. The first thing they mentioned was a wall mural, and they wanted to have it like outdoors. I don't know if it's on the building of like the House of Hope, or if it's a building that's down the street, or like a prominent corner or something. I don't know where it'll be, but I haven't thought about painting a mural from high school. I hadn't thought about that in years, until they mentioned that this is a possibility of what you could do with the children. Have you ever had an experience in painting a mural? So my mind and heart went back to that experience years ago when my art club back in high school did that for a community project. My current ministry there in the hospital was tying in to what I had done in the past. And I remember when I brought that to my supervisor, and I said, I'm amazed that today I connected with a wife of a patient whose husband caught some kind of disease from when they were down in South America. And years ago, I had been there. And when she started talking about the climate, about the circumstances, not having drinking water, not having electricity, not having air conditioning, being careful what you ate, I could see in my mind my experience when I had been there, and they were similar. And I remember she said to me, she said, "How did you know that where we were, how did you know about all those different circumstances?" So when I told her my story, it connected with her story. So it was a reminder to me that our past ministries are brought forth in current ministries, and it helps us to relate to people. And I believe makes us more effective. It makes you more human, it makes you more personal, it makes you more real, makes you more vulnerable when you can say, "Wow, I've experienced something like you have," or "Yeah, that scared me too," or "Yes, wasn't that beautiful," or "Wasn't that exciting?" Or I believe it helps in connecting with people in a very personal, genuine way, when we can say, "Yes, I've been there, I've experienced something like this. Thanks for telling me your part of the story." If we just take a moment to listen to someone or to encourage them, then we can help make a difference in their lives, that they may remember the rest of their lives. And that's probably the ultimate of just making time for people is realizing that perhaps we plant a seed, and perhaps that person will remember it the rest of their lives. And if we never took that time to do that, they would have missed a blessing, and we would have missed a blessing as well. I believe that people can think back and say, well, if she did that, or if he did that, well, what is keeping me from doing something? If that person had faith, well, what is keeping me from stepping out into faith? What is keeping me from going and making a difference in somebody's life? I hope it gives them courage to realize that one human being did it, that's very human, yet had the courage to step out and do something they felt called to do. So hopefully the person that's listening will say, yes, I can do that, or I have that skill. If she did it or he did it, well, what's keeping me from doing it? God's promises are that God will be with us every day, that there's nothing that can separate us from God's love, that God has plans for us. God knows our future. God will lead us to places that won't harm us. And God gives us hope. God gives us a future. So part of it, probably the biggest part, is trust. Is trusting God to truly be God. Trusting God to really do what God says God will do. God fulfills his promises. So I trust God to do that.